a circle, it knows how to get around. It has a radius from center to rim, and its diameter's a line that goes from side to side while passing through the center. Now isn't that simple? Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. Here is a circle, it knows how to get around. It has a radius from center to rim, and its diameter's a line that goes from side to side while passing through the center. Now isn't that simple? Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d.
Today, we're going to talk about circumference and area of circles. The first thing we need to talk about is the radius of a circle. The radius is a line segment from the center of the circle to the edge. We label the center of the circle and then draw a line segment out, and we're going to mark it with a lowercase r. The next thing we need to talk about is the diameter. The diameter of a circle is a line segment from one edge of the circle to the other edge that passes through the center. You see, when we draw the diameter of a circle, we start from the outside edge, go through the center, across to the other edge. Label this with a lowercase d. I want you to look at your circle for a minute. If you'll notice, the radius is 1/2 of the diameter. We can write that as radius times equals 1/2 times the diameter, or radius equals d divided by 2. Now we need to talk about the circumference. The circumference is the distance around a circle. This is just like the perimeter of a polygon. Also, think of this as the fence. The formula that we use to calculate circumference is a capital C equals pi times the diameter, or we use the formula C equals 2 times pi times radius, since the radius is half of the diameter. The formula for the area of a circle is capital A equals pi times the radius, r, squared. Let's do a couple of examples. Example 1 asks us to find the circumference and the area of the circles below. We're going to use the value 3.14 for pi. Alright, so let's look at our first example, example A. Notice that our circle has a radius of 7 centimeters. We have a line segment that goes from the center to the edge. So let's label that R. Now we're going to calculate the circumference. Let's use the formula C equals 2 times pi times R. Now we're going to leave the 2 alone, but we're going to substitute in the value 3.14 for pi, and then we're going to substitute in the value 7 for the radius. You do a little bit of magic on your calculator and you'll determine that the circumference of the circle is 43 9/96 of a centimeter, or 43.96 centimeters. Circumference, just like perimeter, is units. Now let's calculate the area of this circle. We're going to use the formula A equals pi r squared. We're going to substitute in the value 3.14 for pi, the radius of 7, and we need to square that. Remember, squaring is not the same thing as multiplying by 2. The 7 squared is 49. We're going to plug that information into our calculator, and we're going to arrive at the answer 153.86 centimeters squared. Remember, area is squarea. Our second example has a circle with the diameter drawn in for us. We see that the line segment goes from one edge of the circle passing through the center to the other edge. We're going to label this measurement D. Now we're going to calculate the circumference. The formula for circumference is C equals pi times diameter. We're going to take the value 3.14 and substitute that in for pi, and then use the value 12 as our diameter. A little bit of magic on your calculator, and you should arrive at the answer 37.68 inches. Remember, circumference is units. Now let's talk about the area. Now the formula for area uses the measurement radius. It's pi times radius squared. We weren't given the radius in our picture, but we know that the radius is 1/2 of the diameter. So let's calculate the radius of our circle by taking 1/2 times 12. So the radius is 6 inches. Alright, so let's take that information and substitute the values. We're going to use 3.14 for pi, and we're going to multiply that by 6 squared. 3.14 times 36. 6 squared is 36. Put that into our calculator. We come up with the answer 113.04 inches squared. Remember, area is squarea. All right, let's start with example 2. I'm going to read the problem for you. Park employees are fitting a top over a circular drain in the park. If the radius of the drain is 14 inches, what is the area of the top that will cover the drain? So we're going to use a formula to calculate area, and we're going to use the value 3.14 for pi. So when we look up at the top, we see that in our notes, area equals pi times r squared. We know that we're going to use the value 3.14 for pi, and then the value 14 for radius. 14 squared equals 196. Do a little bit of magic in your calculator. You come up with the answer 615.44 inches squared. Remember, area is square area.